the rookie that's learning how to pass pro.
No, that's true.
Oh, shit. Uh-oh. Rob's got white stuff coming out all over. Yeah, I think it was NFL.com did it. I don't know. You should check it out.
Rob's Roundtable!
Got me
What's
on that
up?
one.
What's
Got
up?
me
We're
on that
back.
one.
We have Mike Storey from Sports Betting Intel in town again.
Yes, sir. You didn't give me this time. You didn't give me. I knew it was coming.
Nico, the man, the myth, the legend.
I was running my mouth. I got caught.
That's
caught
okay.
off
I do
guard.
more with my mouth than just run it. This is rookie landing spots, impacts, talking about all the rookies, and recently they've hit pretty well. Back in the day, it was not as big, and the rookie is kind of like the hot girl that comes to school. First day, right? She's hot. You don't know anything about her. Everyone wants to know.
I heard that. I wish I didn't hear that, but I just heard that.
What's that supposed to mean?
Right? But, like, for all we know, that could be a dude a year ago.
Right? What's she like?
Right? And, like, unless you're into dudes. Is that too much? All right. So, I have to ask you.
I'm only a guest star, so.
Yeah. I got to ask you this. Like, what is your drafting strategy in terms of rookies? Like, do you undervalue them? Do you overvalue them? Like, each of you, what do you guys?
So historically, I feel like I used to overvalue them. I'd come away and redraft with a lot of rookies, and some years it worked, some years it didn't. More recently, I feel like I've stayed away from them. I'm less risk averse. Maybe that comes with age or something. I don't know, but I don't take a lot of them unless I feel like they're a sure thing. I'm willing to just miss on that for what I believe is a stronger prospect usually. And it depends, generational talent or where in the draft. There's a lot of variables. But
Story?
So, amazing metaphor aside, hot chick that used to be a dude in high school.
Yeah.
In my younger days playing fantasy football, I was where you are now. I was avoiding him. My thing was, it's unknown. We don't know. These guys have not taken a snap in the NFL yet. We don't know what the production looks like. College doesn't necessarily translate to the NFL. And then as I've dug into the numbers year over year, you see rookies breaking out left and right. Maybe later on for the wide receivers, it depends on where running backs are drafted. So I've kind of changed my strategy. I'm trying to be a little more open-minded in that regard. And I will say that I did hit heavily on Alvin Kamara the year that he broke out his rookie year, and that might have triggered it for me. But there are some guys that I do, their prospect profiles might make me think one way or the other, but yeah, I'm kind of open to the idea of drafting rookies.
So he's more open-minded, so if it ended up being a dude from the year before, you might be willing to take that risk.
What do they call it? The post-draft sleeper?
Yeah, there we go.
Or post-breakout draft, or post-sleeper break, whatever they call it in the fantasy industry. Yeah, yes, exactly.
All right, so this is rookie landing spots. We're going to talk about where they're going, kind of how, what kind of impact they can have, and like, is it good for where we thought they were as a prospect, where they went, or is it bad, and everything in between. Also, one quick thing for you guys. I read an article, came up my news feed here, about a Florida woman, which this is Florida, so crazy shit happens.
everything crazy.
I don't know if
Florida.
you guys saw this, but so she got caught shoplifting, and also her kids were in a car that started on fire, and I didn't hear why it started on fire. I'm guessing she left a cigarette in the car, but left the kids in the car, young infants, and got caught shoplifting, all in one time. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's
told me that,
so many wrongs.
That a meth-addicted alligator rolled up and saved them, I wouldn't be surprised.
Same
It's Florida.
shit. Like, oh my God. I don't know. I just, these Florida stories are just out of control, man.
Yeah,
And
I heard so many more of them living in Georgia because you're right there, right? Like,
every
so the
day
local
with this
news
shit.
in Georgia
Every
pulled even
day.
more of them.
All right, running backs, tight ends right now. Let's get into it. We're going to start with running backs here. First guy, obvious, Bijan Robinson, the mustard, the guy. I know we're all about him collectively, right, as a player.
Yeah.
He went to the Falcons, high draft capital. Story, kick it off to you. What do you think about the landing spot, the player, everything in between?
Yeah, so right now his ADP is sitting right about 9, and I've seen him go as high as 3. I've seen him go as low as 15, but usually in that 7 to 10 range is where you're seeing Bijan Robinson go. So these are all half-point PPR or half PPR that I'm looking at. So ADP of 9, and frankly, this one is like, okay, you're drafting a rookie in the first round. Again, the guy hasn't even laced up his cleats yet for the NFL. I can't really get around it. At the same time, like, is there a better spot that he could have gone to, right? This team, it really wants to, it's a ground and pound mentality. They want to run the ball. And if you were to look at what they did last year with their running backs, I was reading that it would have been like a top 5 running back throughout the course of the year.
Mix it into one.
Collectively,
Yes.
yeah. So, no, I don't think that there is. Arthur Smith really wants to run the ball. I can see Bijan's also a tremendous pass catcher, right? Dumping it off. I don't know. I think that, this is an instance where I'm staying away personally because I can't justify a first-round grade on a rookie, but I can see why people are doing it. Probably the best landing spot for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great landing spot. If I'm picking middle to end of the first, I can't take him there. I'm maybe on the turn. If I feel like I need to get a running back in the second, I'd consider it. But odds are I'm going to miss out. I'm not going to have any shares of Robinson anywhere. The Arthur Smith point is fantastic. Look at what he did with Derrick Henry in Tennessee. He loves a workhorse, is not averse to just running one guy over and over again. And Algier alone, I didn't realize until today, looking at some stats, who's 1,000-yard rusher last year. And look how much more
pick, right?
talented Bijan is, right? So I see a world where this offense runs through him. There's a potential for 1,750, even 2,000 total all-purpose yards in this offense if it all runs through him. But that means you got to believe in Ritter, and I don't know what Ritter is enough to think he's going to hit that upside.
Top 10, top 15, top 20 running backs, they get the rock in their rookie year, right? You look at what Saquon did. You look what Zeke did. Yeah. Zeke was the number 2 running back in fantasy football his rookie year.
Well, they're going to use him. That's not debatable. And you said you love the landing spot. I'm more lukewarm on it, just based on if he was with a contender or just a better quarterback with a better offense. People like the Falcons. The division is trash. I'll give them that. And they do run the ball, but there's a point where you're just running the ball to run it. And if you have a better offense with more efficient offense, you could get more out of Bijan. And the other point is they have, obviously Algier's solid. We like him. But Cordell Patterson's still there. Now, if they're going to put him back at wide receiver, special teams kind of thing, if he has a role, whether that even be a 13% snap share, that's going to eat into Bijan, right? And if he's at 13%, you have Algier, who's probably going to get, 25%?
Well, I think you're high on that.
Yeah, I don't think Algier gets that
I think
much.
you're looking at a 70% opportunity share.
I would hope so. I hope so, too.
Yeah.
I'm saying, but, we've seen these NFL teams do dumb things.
No argument.
Draft
Every
a guy
NFL
high,
coach is stupid.
so-
Every single one.
Smith didn't do that in Tennessee.
Yeah, I would use Bijan as much as he can handle. But we also saw the Titans draft Derrick Henry and not use him and favor DeMarco Murray for 2 years. And also Deion Lewis. I mentioned Deion Lewis.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Pipsqueak. Yeah. Literally opposite running backs. They're using Deion Lewis in early downs and Derrick Henry in late downs.
The finisher.
What's going on here?
What did they do with Kamara last year, where he was getting all the empty calories between the 20s and those
not giving him the high value touches?
Getting 3 targets, ridiculous.
So
Coaches are dumb. We can agree on that. But I will say, last point on this. They are going to give him everything that he can handle.
Are you drafting him at the end of the first round in redraft?
If I'm in 10 leagues, I might take 1 share of him.
You?
No, not in 12 teams.
I might take 2 shares. So it's just because it is the allure, right? It's a hot girl, man. I'm like, oh, she's hot.
If I'm in 10 leagues, I don't want to miss out on every single.
There you go.
But I'm okay. If I'm in 4 or 5, I'm okay passing.
I'm in 25 leagues, so
That's
all right, next guy here, Jahmyr Gibbs. We all like the player, although I believe on the last pod we all said he's not a 3-down back. Probably not even close to a 3-down back. He's about 195 pounds. Detroit Lions, they didn't trade up. They traded down, essentially, but they could have taken Bijan, and they took this guy, paid Montgomery. What do you think about the landing spot? I'm going to start with you, Nico.
So with Detroit taking Gibbs, where they could have had Robinson, that was a decision that they obviously made. And I was reading an article on it just the other day where they're like, we're more excited about what he can do for our offense than what Robinson could do. They see them as right next to each other as far as overall talent, but they bring different things to the table. And they felt like Gibbs was a better fit for their offense, and they're excited about him. You don't go get this dude higher than anybody else is going to if you're not going to use him. He's a home run hitter. There's a chance for a touchdown anytime he touches it. I think the speed's going to be a little different in the NFL. He's not gonna break as many as he did at Alabama, but Montgomery is that just not, I don't want to say ground and pound because he's got a good jump cut, but he's not gonna explode. You're not gonna get the big plays out of him. I think Gibbs easily is the third down pass catching back there, and maybe even sprinkling in special teams.
Yeah, I like the landing spot for Jahmyr Gibbs. I like it almost as much as what I like with Bijan Robinson because they let DeAndre Swift go. So weird sequence of events, right? They let Jamal Williams walk, arguably the nicest guy in the NFL, the funnest guy in the NFL.
Yeah, team leader.
Yeah, and then they signed David Montgomery, and then they draft Jahmyr Gibbs, and then they trade DeAndre Swift to the Eagles. So clearly they were frustrated with either Swift's production, which doesn't seem
his
right.
Health.
Yeah,
his
health.
I think so too.
Yeah, or the health. So Jahmyr Gibbs has a healthy track record. 4.36 40-yard dash, prospect score of 84, high pass-catching ability, quick on his feet. I like it. And Goff has been known to dump the ball off. So that's what I really, really like, right? You can give David Montgomery the between the 20s, the between the tackles kind of stuff, and you line up Jahmyr Gibbs in second, third, but fourth downs, and let him do what he does and make plays in space. So, yeah, I agree with you. The speed's a little different. You got much faster cornerbacks and linebackers in the NFL than you do college. But Jahmyr Gibbs was arguably the best athlete on the field when he was at Alabama.
Yeah. Do you guys think, so I'm a big Swift guy. And I know he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And, there's been a lot of players that like Keenan Allen wasn't able to stay healthy until he was for the last 5 years. And then he wasn't last year. So, do you like Swift? Okay, Swift or Jahmyr Gibbs? Who's better?
A better athlete, better
prospect,
talent,
better
or
player.
just better for
player.
fantasy?
And better player, because we don't even know what Gibbs is an NFL player, but who's a better prospect?
Given Swift's all-around ability, I'd have to default to him, but in fantasy, I'd rather have Gibbs right now.
Well, now, I'm talking about as a player. What do you think?
It's Swift, and I don't think it's even close.
So, but why the fuck are the Lions... They said they'd take Gibbs over Bijan, and they're going to give Swift away for, a fifth-round pick?
I think it has to do with Dan Campbell and his mentality of, you got to be tough.
That's a
you're not making
mentality.
You're not making hay if you're not on the field. You're not doing it for me. And I think that... I have nothing to back that up. I just think that's what it is.
But they do that with Gibbs, and, how do we know Gibbs is injury-prone in the NFL?
I mean, we don't.
He probably will be.
With his size, yeah.
So I like Gibbs, man. I don't get the logic. And the nice thing is with him at this landing spot, right, is the capital they use to get him. They're going to put him on the field. But I also thought the same thing with Swift last year. And next thing you know, Jamal Williams has 17 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, you would think that Swift, I know they kept on rushing him back from the shoulder injury. You think they would have given him the opportunity last year? They didn't do that. So, how do we know Dan Campbell's a psycho? If Montgomery is killing it with 2 touchdowns the first 2 weeks, then Gibbs is going to be what Swift was last year? I don't like it.
Yeah, you could see Montgomery be the red zone guy.
Right.
And now you're talking those really valuable high-calorie touches are being given to somebody else. It's what he did last year.
Where's Gibbs getting drafted?
39, 42 overall.
37.7. So
that's too high,
rich.
Man.
It's
Full PPR is different. I'm down.
Yeah.
Half PPR, no thank you, man. Injury risk, no touchdowns. All right, moving on. Zach Charbonnet. Now,
they get it right.
This landing spot I don't like.
Nope.
I like the player. It was the worst case scenario for everything. Kenneth Walker, him,
they drafted Kenny McIntosh in the 6th round. Right?
Charbonnet's girlfriend. She don't want to go to Seattle. She already said. She told me.
Didn't hear that. That's funny.
Well, I know it's inside information.
Yeah.
But, Charbonnet, the player, I think we all like. He's kind of a poor man's Matt Forte, I guess you'd say. More powerful, but not quite as versatile.
Love the guy. 6 pounds heavier than Forte.
Yeah, love the guy though. He's a bruiser. He's the no nonsense running back. Which Kenneth Walker we know is kind of a dancer, dude. I want to get some Elton John going,
Tiny dancer.
Yeah, tiny dancer. That's who Kenneth Walker is, right? Elton John and those two are they're is he still alive?
A few more drinks in, I would have sang that.
Yeah, he's still alive.
Elton John's
okay,
alive.
So they're having fun. I don't know. I guess it'd probably be a big deal if he died.
Yes, you would hear about
why are we talking about Elton John?
I don't know.
Well, it made sense. Tiny dancer.
Yep, tiny dancers.
All right. Storey, what do you think about Charbonnet's landing spot?
I mean, it's awful. It's just awful all around, right? I liked Kenneth Walker. I liked him as a prospect coming out of Michigan State. I liked the landing spot when they finally let him carry the rock. Now, that was a lot of, empty touches, up the line, a yard, 2 yards, whatever, until Kenneth Walker and his ability, he spotted a hole and he was able to take off. Big-time home run hitter. But with Pete Carroll's been known to rotate his backs. Doesn't necessarily throw the running back all that often. I just don't know that Charbonnet or Kenneth Walker is going to be a huge impact. And you got Kenneth Walker or Jack Charbonnet going at 105 right now. That's
Walker's going on 50.
Yeah, and Kenny McIntosh, he's going to be the third down guy there. He's a pass catcher out of Georgia. I don't think either of these guys, either Walker or Charbonnet, is going to be catching a lot of passes out of the backfield. So I'm out half PPR. I don't like it. I feel bad for both those guys because if neither one was there, or you get an injury situation and one of these guys is a league winner.
Right.
Yeah, and then let's say that you get Walker in a spot that you like him. Do you go out of your way to handcuff him with Charbonnet?
It's not a handcuff, but it's the 8th round, man.
I don't handcuff my guys until the end of the season.
I am a handcuff dude.
Yeah,
so
and that's why I'm asking
50
the
Shades
question.
of Grey is my favorite movie, dude. Give me some handcuffs, dude. Call me the Kinky Sheriff. That was one of my league names. Again, another great league name, Kinky Sheriff.
Because you're always handcuffing?
Yes.
Among other things.
Anal beads, all those things. All right, sorry, Nico. What do you got?
That was it. It's a shitty landing spot. He's coming in behind the offensive rookie of the year. Seattle does like to run the ball, so I like that, but it's just going to be a timeshare between those two when they're both healthy.
So my Zach Charbonnet take was Elton John and butt plugs. Jesus, that's why this pod, you ain't going to find this anywhere else because we're giving you good information.
3 guys in, we're going off the rails.
Yeah, that's what's up. But no, I love Charbonnet, but this landing spot sucks. Next guy, Kendre Miller. All right, TCU. Man, I love this guy's film. Kind of reminded me of Alvin Kamara a little bit. I have written down here, great film, all-around back. More versatile version of Chris Ivory. Without the concussions, hopefully.
Okay.
Chris Ivory was a beast, man.
Yeah, I don't think this guy runs quite as hard as Ivory.
Not quite.
He's quite a bit bigger than Kamara, but
Right in between.
I think he profiles more for Williams. I think he's more like Jamal Williams than he is.
But they have Jamal
Kamara.
Williams.
I know.
So it's a big issue.
And they paid Jamal Williams, and he's coming off all those touchdowns. Maybe if I can get him in the right spot and use him the first 6 or 8 weeks while we assume that Kamara is going to be suspended. But after that, I just don't see the value there pending injury.
Yeah, you're sitting at 137.7. It's tough to pull the trigger on that because Kamara's not long for the Saints. I think we can all agree there. His contract's going to be too expensive when it comes up next year, and it feels like they're tiring of him. Now, we're expecting a 6 to 10 game suspension, so you've got an opportunity here because Jamal Williams isn't really a pass catcher, so in a half PPR, you're looking at possibly a guy that could carry you and get you some wins in that first 6 to 10 weeks, right? And if he impresses Dennis Allen, the other coaches there, maybe he sticks around, and you've got more of a timeshare, so you got a guy that can fill in it if Kamara comes back slow because he's not used to game shape, he gets injured, whatever it is. So I can see it if he slips. I like it. Right now, though, if you're just talking at 140-ish ADP, it's another pass. Like I hate to say it, but that's 4 passes in a row for me.
All right, Devin A-Chain, Miami. Now, this is all contingent on if they get Dalvin Cook. In this case, it's terrible. But I know you like Devin A-Chain. Super small, super fast, super shifty. What do you got?
He's a fun player to watch. Like the way that he moves. He reminds me of Mostert, speed guy, except for Mostert's about, 10 years older. I'm afraid it's just going to be a committee there. I don't think A-Chain carves out a role early on. That receiving game, if Tua can keep his brain straight, Waddle and Hill are going to get a ton of the offense production there. I'm not sure where he's being drafted at, but for the most part, I'm staying away from Miami's backfield.
Yeah, he's sitting at 166 right now, and I love the talent. Love the talent, right? Great speed, great vision. He's got a 33-inch vertical leap, which isn't great, but it's okay. He's powerful though in some respects. So great talent out of Texas A&M, but the landing spot's awful. It's just a huge committee. Mm-hmm. Mike McDaniel. I personally, I think Mike McDaniels should be out of the league for that whole concussion thing.
Yeah.
That he's lying about.
He's
it.
a nerd too, bro. He's a nerd.
But he's a committee guy. Last year, remember, it was 1 week it was Jeff Wilson, and then the second week was Jeff Wilson. Then he's like, "Oh, Raheem Mostert, you get the next 3 weeks," and then bing, bang, boom, bounce it around. It's probably going to be. I don't think you're going to know when to use him. Maybe
barring
basketball,
injury.
Barring injury, but. Yeah,
his speed and acceleration are legit, but I will say I looked it up. He averaged 0.2 yards after contact in college. That's real bad. That's reminiscent of James Cook, but James Cook had no carries in college. This guy had a lot, so that's a big sample size to have. Anytime he gets touched, you're falling down.
SEC player though.
But no, I know the SEC.
Poor
But the
man's
NFL is
Poor man's
not.
NFL.
Come on, man. He isn't doing anything in that regard, and the Dalvin Cook thing is still hanging over. So we'll see with that. Okay, moving on to Tank Bigsby. Now this is a guy that's been pretty hot in the fantasy community, mostly not so much for him, but for Travis Etienne. Because Travis Etienne was the most inefficient goal-line running back in the history of the NFL, not just last year. The man had 2 of 15 successful touchdown runs.
But they kept trying.
They ran him, essentially they treated him like Derrick Henry last year, which is ironic because Travis Etienne is a LaShawn McCoy type, not a Derrick Henry type. He is small.
Look at my tiny dog. I'm going to put it in my tiny purse. Tiny phone. Tiny everything.
You're going to break him.
And he didn't break somehow, but he did have a broken foot 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about Tank Bigsby being the Jamal Williams in this case? We all like Jacksonville this year, right? They could have a 30, 28 points a game kind of team. You add him as not so much the early down guy, right, but the short yardage guy, and the complement to Travis Etienne. And we know Travis Etienne tends to be injury prone. So what do you think about the landing spot and the player?
Landing spot's good. They're a good all-around team. I think they're going to spread the ball out. They're going to be able to throw with Ridley coming back in. Trevor Lawrence appeared to take a massive leap forward with an actual NFL coach at the helm.
Yeah, a coach.
So Jacksonville's they got some good matchups this year. They were a playoff team last year. They've only gotten better. I think there's good touchdown upside, but I don't know how much work he gets besides that is my concern.
What do you think about the player story?
I love Tank Bigsby as a player. He was on my college fantasy football team for a couple of years. The problem with Auburn is they really they had 4, 5 running backs at a time that so you really never knew who to play. They all had really, really good opportunities there. I don't really care for this landing spot though. I'm not a big fan of Jacksonville, what they're doing. I don't know what Doug Peterson is doing down there. He won't throw the ball to ETN. What, he get 3 targets?
2 targets a game. It's crazy, dude.
Just, I don't think he had more than 3 in a game.
Receiving back.
So does Tank Bigsby take over? No, because his athleticism is not very good, right?
He's a bruiser.
Yeah. I mean, his broad jumps less than 10 feet. His verticals 32.5, right? His 40 is okay, 4, 5, 6. So not a huge fan of it. I'm not a huge fan of Jacksonville, but I wouldn't take Tank Bigsby sitting at 160-ish ADP right now. I don't think there's any reason to take him there.
But what about the player? So you like the player?
I do like the player.
I watched his film and I was confused. It was like one play I was like, I love this guy. And the next play I was like, I don't like this guy. He has a little bit of the Kenneth Walker kind of pitter-patter, but then when he hits it, dude, and I saw him in terms of short yardage, though, he was a beast, man.
Oh, yeah.
He lowers his fucking shoulder and he just delivers contact. And again, it's his college, but it was the SEC, which is the poor man's version of the NFL. And we'll see, but I think that Hasty, they kept him on. Hasty is more of an ETN comp. So he is the guy that's going to have that role unless they continue to run ETN on the ground. But if they have bigger aspirations, they cannot be giving ETN 27 carries.
No, but Doug Peterson's been known to use a committee. So you might see Tank Bigsby in short yardage situations, ETN as the bruiser between the 20s guy, and then Jermichael Hasty, the third down guy. Then you're destroying everybody's value. Right. And also, I don't think the SEC's been called the poor man's anything in the last 100 years.
All right, next guy here, Rochon Johnson, Bears. Love Rochon. 3-man committee, though, just because they brought on, we have Khalil Herbert. They brought on
Deontay
Foreman, and who is essentially a poor man's version of Rochon Johnson, right? Change, give me some change. Love Rochon. Kind of like the landing spot too. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I love it. I think that it's going to be slow going for him out of the gates. I think that he's got to overtake. But what are we dealing with there? A couple of washed up guys. I hate to say it. This guy was a tremendous athlete, but he sat behind Bijan Robinson, the greatest prospect that we've seen in the last 10 years, greatest running back prospect. So I like it. Great athleticism, great between the tackles runner. I think he takes over his backfield by week 10 or so. And so I could see drafting him, throwing him on your bench for a while, or even letting him kind of sit, letting him marinate in somebody else's, and they drop him and you pick him up later on. From a fantasy perspective, I think this guy, I wouldn't go so far as to call him a league winner, but I think he can really help you down the stretch. So I'm excited for Rochon, for the Bears going forward.
I know you're a big Rochon guy.
I am, and I think it's a good landing spot. There's a certain age with running backs. It tends to be about 28, I feel like, is where they really tend to fall off that cliff. And a lot of the guys that are in place here today that we're talking about ahead of these rookies are at that age, right? And so there's that potential that we talk about, that potential league winner, the guy in front of him. I think Foreman's done. I don't know how he ever came back from the Achilles and was as productive as he was, but I'm writing him off. I think this is a 2-man backfield already. I like Herbert. I think he's a good athlete, but he sucks in pass pro. And that's something that Rochon has excelled at. I think he's immediately the third down back that's going to earn the trust of these coaches to keep Fields upright. And he's going to see a role early on as a third down back, in my opinion.
Go wild! Go! Game on! Game on!
All right, ready?
Yeah, what's your Rochon take?
So Rochon, the nice thing is that he might have the high value touches, the third downs that you're talking about and short yardage. That's where fantasy is made, right? You get the catches and you get the touchdowns. I don't care about anything else. Give me that.
Well, and if you're on the field, coaches, like it or lump it, they want somebody who can pass protect, right? And that's why we saw Tony Pollard could not get on the field when Zeke was there during third down situations last year. So if Rochon is the guy, back to your point, if he's the guy in pass protection, which excellent pass protector, right? He's going to be Khalil Herbert. I love him, great pass catcher, but if they don't trust him on the field, So be it.
No, I mean, what was Fields sacked 55 times last year?
Oh,
like,
God.
you can't have that. There's no way. You have to keep him upright. And I think by the end of the preseason, Rochon has earned that trust, and he's going to be the one out there blocking. Foreman's done an okay job for his size in the past, but I feel like it's always when he's able to square up and take the guy head on, he gets smoked from the side and he misses blitzes. Like, you can't do that, especially at his age where he should know better. It's not the rookie that's learning how to pass pro.
No, that's true.
Oh, shit.
Uh-oh. Rob's got white stuff coming out all over.
Chuck.
All right, last guy here, real quick. Lightning round, Chase Brown. I'm a big fan of this guy. He is in Cincinnati, and Joe Mixon is apparently going to be there. But they let go of my boy Samaje Perine.
He's in Denver now, right?
Yes, I love him. We'll talk about him at another date.
Okay.
But Chase Brown, handcuff. I mean, right now he's a better athlete than Joe Mixon. I love Joe Mixon, but Joe Mixon has lost it. Now he's steady, he can do all those things, but Chase Brown has the opportunity to take the job. Maybe not fully, but when they see him, coming on 6-7 carries a game and having fucking 40 yards, and you have Joe Mixon going 16 for 60, give me Chase Brown.
But they didn't give you Perine last year when Mixon was doing that same thing. So I don't know that they're going to do that. Pending legal issues for Mixon are an issue there, and I don't know if that drives the value up for Brown or not. I hadn't watched any college tape on him until today. I had to figure out who he was, if I'm being honest.
Illinois, we talked about him on the pod, you fucking moron.
I know, I didn't watch any film on him then.
Well, what the fuck? What did you think about his film? He's athletic as shit.
He is, and that's where my notes were: speed and receiving potential. And Mixon gets how many catches a year there typically?
Fuck no, dude. 65 recently.
Yeah, so if he just even fills that role, right, and they keep Mixon healthy by just running the ball with him, I think it's a good fit. I don't know where he's getting drafted at, but
Super late.
Yeah,
I imagine
183 or so.
Yeah.
I love Chase Brown. I wish I would have drafted him on my fantasy team last year. I don't think he had a game with fewer than 150 all-purpose yards. And
Yeah.
a lot of that was just running. So he doesn't need to be a pass catcher in Cincinnati. I don't know what Zach Taylor's doing there. Everybody thinks he's some savant because he went to one Super Bowl. I think he's a fucking moron. Pardon my language, kids. But, yeah, Chase Brown, that's a guy that, late – it's tough to know what to expect from him because it's got kind of a weird archetype, right? He's fast, but he's also big. He can pass catch, but he's really great, a really great runner, great vision. I'm not drafting him per se. It sounds like I'm not drafting any of these guys, but he's a guy that I'm keeping my eye on to start.
Of course, man. And the thing is that you're talking about if you want to keep Mixon as the runner, maybe they swap that and you want Mixon as the the high value guy, but that would give Chase Brown value because you're not drafting him. He's a waiver wire guy. He's getting 12 carries a game.
See, who was the third down guy? Who was the third guy they had on the roster in Cincinnati last year? Not
Travion Burks.
Yes.
Or Travion Henderson.
Yes.
Yes.
So Henderson, when he was they take Mixon off the field in third down situations in the Super Bowl. He was a pass catcher at Oklahoma.
Sense, dude.
What are you doing,
Makes no
Zach
sense.
Taylor?
Yeah, he's an idiot. He's an idiot.
I'm glad we can agree.
is that when Bernard was there?
No. Bernard was in Tampa Bay at that
Was
time.
he
Yeah.
there? Okay.
All right, let's move on to tight ends here a little quicker. The first couple guys we got to talk about in depth.
Before we jump into tight ends, I do want to give a shout out to Zach Evans. So I mentioned him on the previous stream. Zach Evans, he landed in Los Angeles. I think it's a great spot for him. I don't like where all the love that Cam Akers is getting. Cam Akers has a rocky history with both the coach there and the management. So I could see him kind of being filtered out. I know he had a great end to the last year, but Zach Evans is a guy that I am definitely keeping an eye on to start the year.
All right, and also give us a plug for SBI.
Yeah, so sportsbettingintel.com. Check us out. We got a lot of great things going on. So since the last time I've been on, we've implemented MLB Today. You can get all your information on the stadium, the weather, the pitchers, the matchup, all that kind of stuff. That's free for everybody. And for any subscription, we've got MLB player props now. So FanDuel's got Dinger Tuesday, right? Where you bet $25 on a home run hitter. If they hit a home run, you win. And even that, you get $5 per home run hit in the game. Great promo. Go to our our player props page. Find the best line for the guys there. You want to make sure you're betting with value, and that's the way to do it. So, sportsbettingintel.com. Visit us. If you have any questions, contact us. We'll hook you up.
See the link here.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, there you go.
Over his face.
There it is. Yeah.
All right, tight ends. Dalton Kincaid, the first guy. We're going. This is also based on where they were drafted, and also kind of in this case where they are being drafted. Dalton Kincaid. He's not really a receiver apparently. He's a he's not a tight end, he's a receiver, yet he was drafted as a tight end.
Jimmy Graham said he was a receiver, and he still got paid like a tight end.
But the thing is why didn't the Bills just take a receiver? You know, that's what they do. They draft James Cook. They do dumb things like that. So, Dalton Kincaid, Storey, lead us off. What do you think about him as a player, his landing spot, etc.?
As a player, tremendous player. And this is another guy I wish I would have drafted on my college fantasy football team last year. He had an amazing season. Just to be fair, Utah didn't have a ton of pass catchers, not a ton of weapons, but he's got great athleticism, outstanding prospect. I just don't really care for the landing spot. I think that there's what's the guy there?
Dawson Knox.
Yeah, Dawson Knox, right, from Missouri.
He's
Great
good.
Player. Often looked to in the red zone. He was often one of the first touchdown scorers.
And also a receiving tight end, too. Yeah. He could block a little bit more, but he's still a receiving guy, so what are they doing?
Yeah, I mean, this is a receiving tight end, too, so who gets on the field? He's getting drafted way too high. He's like the 10th tight end off the board.
Yeah, 10 or
it's
11.
just an absolutely absurd ADP. There's zero chance of taking a rookie tight end, probably ever, but at that time, yeah, no way. And I love Dalton Kincaid, but no, out of control ADP.
Yeah.
So there's one rookie tight end we'll talk about in a little bit that I will draft. If you watched our last show, you probably know who that is. Kincaid, though, former basketball player, great hands, back-to-back 8 touchdown seasons. I mean, good production in college. Should be a good red zone target if you didn't have a big-bodied Gabe Davis. You don't have Diggs catching long touchdowns. You don't have Allen running them in. You don't have the best running back that's been in Buffalo in years, and you already have a pass-catching tight end. I just don't see where he's going to get his in this offense. The landing spot's awful this year. Maybe when Knox is gone, maybe moving forward, maybe Allen runs less, but it's a hard pass on.
But he has... You mentioned Jimmy Graham. I will say he has the upside to be Jimmy Graham. The skill set, the offense, the quarterback, you name it, man. The problem with me is Dawson Knox is there. And if they don't use him in the slot, which they were talking about as like they drafted him as a slot receiver.
Never happens.
Which is crazy. Is why didn't they just draft Josh Downs 30 picks later?
Yeah.
Or, trade up to get Zay Flowers. They didn't do either of those things.
Is this a McKenzie replacement?
It comes out every year during OTAs and training camp.
Slot receiver.
We're moving him all over the formation.
Never
He's going to be in the
happens,
slot. We hear that with pass catching running backs. We hear that with tight ends.
Yeah.
It never.
That's why Pitts was so productive.
If they don't use him in the slot, he won't play. Like when I say he won't play, he'll be 40% guy. Not enough to draft him at all, not to mention where he's going. Yeah. And he's a terrible blocker. That man, I can block better. You can block. I know you can block better. Look at this guy. He's a fucking tank. Look at this guy's body, dude. Sorry.
Built like a lineman.
All right, yeah, so sorry, Kincaid. Next guy here, based on where they were drafted, Sam Laporta. Now, I fucking hate this guy. He's terrible. This guy sucks. I watch his film, dude. Usually, sometimes I, watch film, I get a boner, I'm super happy. This guy, made me... I'm asexual now.
You got an innie?
I'm asexual, dude. I don't want to have sex anymore. I'm like, Erica wanted, I was like, I watched Sam Laporta's film today. I don't want to have sex because I'm done with this shit. I'm done with life. What are the fucking Lions doing? Storey, what are they doing? Tell me what they're doing.
I just gave my best Jim from the office look to the camera there.
What are they doing, dude? What are they doing with Sam Laporta?
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how great Iowa tight ends are. Hawkinson,
Noah Fant.
Hawkinson carried me to a college fantasy football championship. And, of course, you got to shout out to Aces High and Woj from the College Fantasy Football Podcast, because if we don't mention the Iowa tight ends and how great they are, by the way, check it out, the College Fantasy Football Podcast. These guys do great work. But
don't shout out fucking Woj's podcast on my podcast.
Cause
you're
fine.
You're fine.
They're going to come storming in here with that.
Advertise ours and advertise yours, you pricks.
Yeah, there you go. There is nobody else on the depth chart that's worth a damn there, so It's not bad, right? I don't know why
he's bad. So
okay, well, not a terrible athleticism score, decent speed. He does a block and he does blocking well. So I don't know. It's tough for me to draft any rookie tight end, especially somebody that's not as fully touted. Right? Hawkinson was drafted 8 overall, something like that. This guy was drafted.
Hasn't really worked out though. He's been okay, but not where he was drafted.
But he was drafted highly, second round, right? Early second round. Yeah. So there's draft capital there. I could see it working out down the road this year, maybe in a couple of years, but I'm out this year.
Out.
Yeah, no real competition there. He should have a clear line to start, but he's not Hawkinson. You're not going to get anywhere near the production you got out of him, and that's not a great role anyway.
Do you know how many touchdowns he played 4 years at Iowa, right? I believe Iowa. At least 4 years in college. How many touchdowns he had in 4 years? Storey?
I'd guess 20.
You?
I have no idea.
5.
5 over 4 years?
Yeah. That's not good.
Way off.
No, I mean I know Iowa. Iowa's like good at punting. They're good at punting.
Way off.
They're good at punting apparently, but like I don't care.
They're good at punting.
I'm just saying, dude. If you were in a high school
school
program and they didn't pass, and you were a high prospect, you should have won 5 in 4 years.
We would
not good. I have him down here as a poor man's version of Tyler Higbee. Now I like Higbee a little bit.
Higbee sucks.
Yeah, Higbee sucks. Okay, he's a poor man's version. So that's not great. Sorry, Sam Laporta. Sorry to shit all over your face. But we just did. Okay, next guy here. I point right here. Michael. How do you pronounce it?
Mayer.
Michael Myers?
Michael Mayer.
Mayer. Right. Well, I call him Michael Myers. We love this guy. Me and this guy, he's the tight end of the podcast. With the mask, dude. You know he is. You know, like I talk about Mingo. He's our wide receiver guy. But like, dude, this guy is our fucking... Oh, I love him.
You gotta shoot your shots.
I love him. Man. I love him. I gotta hear Story's take on this because we know where we are at. What do you think about Michael Mayer?
Walking
John
trash
Mayer?
can.
You don't like him?
Oh.
I kill you.
His athleticism is below average.
Mayer?
Yeah.
No.
At 63 athleticism score.
Well, that's a stupid site.
4.7 40-yard dash. 1.66 10-yard split. 32.5 vertical. Less than a 10-foot broad jump. I watch a lot of Notre Dame games.
What do you think about the film?
It's fine. It's fine, right? I watch a lot of Notre Dame games.
He's a beast.
I get it. I understand why you could fall in love with him, but no. This guy is nothing special. Wow. And he's going to a team that's in disarray. They got no quarterback.
They have no tight end either.
They got no quarterback.
They have no tight end.
Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be howling out there on one leg.
Good. Give me checkdowns.
No.
You know who also didn't have a good any of those things you're talking about?
Give me Hunter Renfrow.
Was Mark Andrews.
Okay.
Now, Mark Andrews has done pretty well with a quarterback that doesn't have an arm. Right?
I think that Lamar Jackson has progressed as a passer.
He has, but doesn't have an arm. Not really. After his MVP year, he hasn't. I like him, but I'm just saying. I have him down here as fucking Mark Andrews, dude. Better blocker too, actually. So again, you're on a 2-on-1 here right now. So we're gonna double team your ass.
My take
he's talking about how he's fucking Mark Andrews. So
I would fuck Michael Myers.
He's a good-looking guy. I'll give him that. He's a good-looking
guy, dude.
Yeah, he doesn't
need masks. He does not need masks.
He's handsome, dude. All right, blonde. All right, you tell him why you love Michael Myers.
So
Mayer,
the mayor of Las Vegas. Yeah. I think he's the best all-around tight end in this class.
Breach.
I think between his blocking and pass catching ability, there's no one else that puts the total package together as well as what he does. He's not going to run away from anybody. I'll give you that, right? He's not a crazy athlete.
He's a catch and fall down kind of guy.
But he catches it, and he gets open. He does decent against the zone. The thing that I like is, was Darren Waller successful because he's a tremendous athlete, or was he successful because he's a product of that offense?
System.
Well, when he went down and we saw Moreau come out of absolutely nowhere and be productive in that same system, and now they're both gone, Jimmy Garoppolo's got one of the quickest releases in the NFL. He's not going to want to take hits because he knows he's made out of fucking glass. So I think he's going to get the ball out. I think Mayer's going to be a volume play. I think he's absolutely worth taking a shot at the end of your draft. Yeah. And half the time you cut your fucking tight end in the first 4 weeks anyway.
You're staring down the worst team in the AL West. Probably a 5-win team.
With Jacobs, one of the best running backs last year, with Devontae Adams, still one of the best receivers.
They're not going to be great, but Michael Mayer...
They're going to be down.
They're good, dude. He's better. I don't know what this guy's smoking, what he's watching. This dude is a badass.
0 chance this guy's fantasy relevant this year. There is 0 chance.
Why am I taking him in every underdog best ball?
You are out of your mind if you're taking him in.
700 yards, 5 touchdowns, guaranteed. Mark it down right now.
Okay. We'll see.
We will see.
Back here on January 2nd.
We'll iron out the bet, but I love Michael Myers, okay?
Back-to-back 800 yards
all day, maybe. See?
We're good.
Okay. All right. Well, that's awesome. We had a good time. We'll see you in a little bit, but I want to say thank you to Mike Storey for coming on.
Thanks for having me on,
Thank you for Nick O, as always. And Rob's Roundtable.
Dude.
Oh!
And it's been a complete joy.
Good, Marissa. You can use a little teeth, but you don't want to be a biter.